Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Alongside Podcast, which is a production of Heritage Baptist Church. The purpose of this podcast is to come alongside followers of Christ in order to have thoughtful conversations about the gospel, culture, and the church. I'm your host, Mike Crump, and today is going to be one of those different kinds of shows. Usually we come alongside followers for those thoughtful conversations. I'm hoping today will be thoughtful, but this is another episode of our Coffee and Conversations. Even though some here at the table refuse to drink coffee, we are questioning their walk with the Lord. But other than that, we're so excited to have you guys here. I'm going to go around the table so everyone knows. Pastor Nathan Fox is here.
With my no coffee.
With your no coffee?
Yeah.
Okay, that's very nice. Pastor Alan Waldrop, of course, on the end.
Equipped for the work of the ministry with a cup of coffee.
There you go. You're good to go. Pastor Kevin Haglund is here.
Also with coffee.
Also, and then Pastor Jeff Scott. Welcome.
I'm here with coffee.
Let's see. Thank you, guys. You all got the memo. You all went through. Some of us are in rebellion, but that's okay. Very, very thankful for you guys being here. The way this works is I have my deck of random interview questions. We're going to pull randomly from the deck, ask them, and then answer. It's very simple, but these questions are so strange that who knows what's going to happen. So I'm looking forward to it. So let's jump right in. Question number 1 is, what's the favorite thing you've bought this year? What's the favorite thing you've bought this year? Whoever wants to go first. Anybody?
I bought a golf club.
Did you?
It doesn't work, but
That does not surprise me one bit there, Jeff.
It's the club's fault.
Yeah.
You're saying not the golfer.
it's the clubber.
It's the clubber. Okay. What golf club?
Ping 3 wood.
Okay. All right. Very nice. Well, we'll pray that it helps further your game. I don't know golf. How does that work?
I appreciate the prayers.
Okay. What about you guys? What favorite thing have you bought this year?
Well, I don't know if it's my favorite thing, but it's a big purchase. We bought a minivan, another one.
Nice.
The one we bought 15, 16 years ago has almost 300,000 miles on it. So
Wow.
It was time. So
Now, here's the question I have for you, Kevin, is, I mean, all your kids are grown up.
I know.
Why a minivan?
Well, it is just, for one thing, it's my wife's favorite vehicle. She just really likes the van. And when our kids are here, or we make trips together, or people come in town, then you can all ride together in the same vehicle.
Very versatile.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
And you guys, I heard you were like just driving by and you saw it and you were like, hey.
Yeah, we went to Aldi's and came home with a minivan on the way home. So
Things you can get at
Really?
Aldi's.
I know.
It was in their specialty aisle, you know.
Let's think of a generic name for a Toyota Sienna. It's the Aldi burnt Sienna. I don't know what it would be, but
Nice.
toasted holes.
Aldi-mobile.
That's right. There we go. There we go. Aldi-mobile. Yes.
Very nice. Alan, anything that comes to mind? Maybe not your favorite, but just something significant you bought this year?
Yeah, that's hard. What comes to my mind, I guess, is we extended, Robin has a long arm quilting machine.
Okay.
And we bought and just recently finished extending that out for 12 foot so she can do larger quilts, and it's something that she loves.
Very cool.
See a big smile on her face when she's quilting.
Well, then job well done.
Yeah.
Mama happy, everybody.
And Nathan, you?
Yeah. So I think
Tickets to some sporting event.
Yeah, probably.
I was thinking like something I bought for me, but I don't often buy things for me. But I about a month or two ago, I played against sports. This is sports related.
Okay, it is sports related. Good.
And I bought my oldest son, Landon. He's about to be 4. He loves golf.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought him a little junior set with 4 little golf clubs in it. And it's really, I've played more golf in the last 2 months. Get home and take him to the golf course and go to the putting green, the driving range, and he loves it. Like, it's his favorite thing in the world to do, just be with me on the golf course. So my golf game is getting better.
Nice.
And I'm getting to spend time with my son and get him out of the house so that Ashley can get a little bit of breathing room. So it's really
It's
best $30 I spent all year.
Win.
It's
That's
a real
great.
win.
Big competition for Jeff.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I was going to say, is his club about the height of Jeff's new club? I mean, is that how that works?
Can I borrow his clubs?
Oh, nice, nice.
I have so many things I could say, but I just bite my tongue.
I think my favorite thing has actually been I changed over my phone, got the S22 Ultra, and I love it. So it's just takes some really cool pictures, and that was one of the primary reasons I got it. So for Android people, that's you'll be yay. For the Apple people, just leave me alone. All right, on to I see that face coming. On to the next question. Let's see here. What is the trait you most deplore in yourself? This could be interesting. What is the trait you most deplore in yourself? This is confession time.
I'll start.
Okay.
I am too competitive at times, and I can appreciate my competitive spirit in certain realms. My zeal plays out sometimes in a very good way. Jeff has seen my competitive spirit on the golf course. It's an area that I've grown in significantly over the years. It predominantly comes out on a sporting field of some sort. Very competitive. I don't like to lose. That's one of the things I deplore about myself is I wish I lost better.
Okay.
So that's that was the first thing that came to mind. So I guess it's the thing about myself that I deplore
Okay.
the most.
All right. No, not to invite you over for games or anything like that. That's good.
There you go.
Who's next?
I've never lost to Jeff though in golf. So.
Okay.
No comment.
Okay, I would go next on that. What I deplore most, I think, is I just have a very, it comes so easy for me to be critical. Even in new connections, I'll sometimes introduce myself and say that I am very, very critical and just an inch away from being cynical. It's an easy transition for me to go cynical. Sometimes being critical is helpful because you're looking to find things that need to be fixed, therefore you can fix them. But sometimes it can be viewed as shooting holes in the ship, shooting holes in somebody's plan. I kind of think of it more as exposing holes before you set sail.
Yeah. Well, it's probably that double-edged sword, right? Because your mind processes in such a way, it's very helpful for, I know, the church, and even what you're doing now, you're able to see critically some of these areas that need to be addressed and move through that. But the double-edged sword of that is you're also aware of other things. And
yeah, and I just need to be a little bit more careful, a little Hebrews 10:24 about how to apply it, to be considerate of how I apply it with others,
Gotcha.
to be thoughtful there.
Okay. All right.
Continuing the
Yeah, you're moving
Right.
around.
clockwise direction on the table. I would say it is my introvertedness. I wish I were more comfortable just going up and engaging with people. And I know that sometimes comes as a surprise because I'm comfortable on a platform in front of a large group of people, but one-on-one, I envy people like my wife who know no strangers and just connect really well with people naturally, and I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
So
I will echo that one. I've seen that in myself. I think the older I've gotten, the more I've been kind of entrenched in some of that. I love talking to people, but being the first to engage, I always start with the mindset of I'm just going to be bothering this guy or this person, and so I'm just going to let them be. And so that's kind of having to overcome some of that. So I get that. What about you, Jeff?
Boy, I was sitting here. I'm glad I was last because I could eliminate all the other ones. I think the one that came to mind first was I'm consumed sometimes by worry in regard to things I have no control over. Stock market, world events, COVID.
Yeah.
Just being consumed by those things and being forced on a daily basis to really lean into the comfort that God's word brings and focused more on prayer.
You know, I was in 2 Corinthians 5 this morning, and just Paul's admonition to not consider one another according to the flesh, that has just been in my mind a lot, and how we all have these weaknesses, we all have these things that we deplore in ourselves, yet we do not consider one another according to those things. We consider one another according to the redemption of Christ and that we are brothers and sisters redeemed in him. And so what a joy it is to know that regardless of our frailties, our God loves us and we are united together. So with that said, it's on to our next one, guys. How's it going so far? We're knocking these out of the park so far.
Good.
Very good. Very good. All right, here we go. What was your first screen name? Do you even remember what your first screen name was? Maybe in AOL, Instant Messenger?
You've got me.
Yeah.
I can go with that one.
Okay.
I remember it was KLH, which is my initials, SPH, which were Suzanne's initials,
Yeah.
at AOL.com, and that was
Nice.
it. And then the one after, because it was like shortly after we got married that the internet kind of became, everybody could log in and stuff. I think it was one of those 3.5-inch discs I grabbed at the grocery store, giving out, trying to
or get the 12 of them in the mail,
Yeah, and then after that, I realized, when it became like we needed separate email addresses, her parents are emailing and different things. So it was Music Pastor, but it was spelled phonetically.
Oh,
because the regular spelling of Music Pastor wasn't available.
yeah.
So yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, my screen name was available, but this I know Nathan over here will not like this, but mine has
gotta be
been
Duke,
for
Duke
years.
something.
Jeff Go Duke.
Jeff Go Duke.
Jeff Go Duke.
Love it.
There's a reason that was available.
I was going to add that comment, but I figured I'd just leave it to
Sounds like
to you guys.
Sounds like a Neanderthal. Jeff Go Duke.
Mine is probably just still the same as it's been, Alan for him with the number 4. But going back pre-screen names to CB handles,
Wow.
you probably don't know about that,
I don't know
Nathan.
what you're talking about.
I do.
But my CB handle was King's Kid. And the only reason I remember that so well is I was making a trip back and forth from Atlanta to Liberty, and I was making really good time. And I was on there, and somebody came online and said, see, now I'm changing, came on the air and said that King's Kid, it sounds like you're moving along pretty well. And it was like, well, yeah. And he said, so tell me, where does King's Kid come from? Immediately conviction sat in.
Yeah.
And I just went radio silent for the rest of the trip.
Nice. What about you, Nathan?
So my last name is Fox. So it was AOL Instant Messenger. It was Foxy, Foxc, letter C, Guy, Foxy Guy, 08, which was the year I graduated was going to graduate high school. So I think I made it in middle school. I think it was 7th grade, kind of like the tail end of AOL Instant Messenger. And I don't know, when I made it, I thought it was the coolest name to put out there, and
Middle school.
Yeah. In middle school, that was cool.
So when pastors here call me Foxy, that's like immediately where my mind goes to. This middle school screen name that I made that I thought was very cool then that I kind of regret a little bit now.
Well, mine was, and Nathan, I'm sure you'll appreciate this. Mine was Deke893 because my radio name was Deke, D-E-K-E, back in North Carolina, and 89.3 was the frequency of the radio station I worked for. So Deke893 was my AOL, and that was fun.
To all those Deke fanatics out there.
Oh, yeah, all of them.
many
Thanks,
of
Mom. All right, next question. Who is your favorite hero of fiction? Your favorite hero of fiction? Especially in our world where we love our heroes right now in many ways. And some of you guys are shaking your heads. Maybe, you're not obsessed in the world like maybe I am, but that's fine. Or maybe from the past, in comics that you used to read, if you even read comics. Or make up a hero. I don't care.
I make fun of my wife for reading books about things that don't really happen and about people that don't exist. So
you're offended by this question, Jeff?
I'm not offended by this question. I'm kind of stumped.
You're stumped on it. Okay.
My favorite cartoon growing up was Underdog.
Well, that's a hero. That's a hero.
Hero? I
Yeah,
don't know.
he was Underdog was a hero. I mean, he was a dog with a cape that flew around.
Yeah.
So we'll go with that. Thank you, Jeff.
I'm impressed you know who Underdog was.
Of course I know who Underdog is. I grew up in the 80s. I know. I remember. Anyone else?
Yeah, I don't read a lot of fiction either. So, I mean, I've been the Marvel movies came about right when our kids were transitioning out of Pixar and animated stuff.
Yeah.
And at that time, they had great heroic themes without a lot of extra stuff you don't want your kids to be exposed to at that time.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately shifted a little bit lately, but so yeah, I'd say the Marvel cinematic universe I'll just lump it all together. That's my
That's your
favorite.
hero?
That's
is
my
the
hero.
universe?
Yes,
Wow,
that's right.
that's pretty amazing. I think mine out of the universe, because I do enjoy kind of the Marvel thing, is it kind of goes back and forth between two kind of polar opposites, and that is Captain America, who is just kind of a steadfast guy who's all about truth and justice and all that. And then Iron Man, because he's kind of this tragic figure that has kind of a turning of sorts in his life and then ends up sacrificing himself. So
Spoiler alert.
yeah, sorry about that. So I think,
Sorry for those of you who have not seen the movies.
thanks, guys. If you haven't seen it, I'm sorry. It's too late by now. How about you, Nathan?
So, if I were going movies, I think Russell Crowe's Gladiator. I really appreciate that character. Just a man's man who stood for honorable things and had integrity even against significant tyranny and opposition. I really just appreciate that character of fiction. If I were going to a book, I really in elementary school I read the Hardy Boys all the time.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if they were heroes, but in my mind that's what I read, and I loved their stories. And so
That's awesome.
the Hardy Boys growing up, that was a big thing for me.
Love it. Alan, you're last. You're shaking your head.
Yeah, it's a struggle. So I had to justify in my mind that this was truly a fictional character.
Okay.
Because the TV show on Blue Bloods, Frank Reagan, the dad, the police chief commissioner there, he's not really the police commissioner of New York City, so he's fictional.
He's fictional.
I'm going to go with it.
Okay.
But what I love is that he's a devout family man, and in tough decisions, he'll almost always, with some fallibility, but almost always just make a good judgment call of what's the right thing to do, and do it in spite of circumstances.
Yeah.
So.
Very good. All right. Well, let's see. Maybe this next one won't be as difficult for some of y'all on this. All right. Here we go. This is just kind of uncanny. Who are your heroes in real life? That's pretty fascinating, actually.
Jeff's going to say Underdog.
Who are your heroes in real life? Or maybe one, if you can think of one, at least one person who stands out as a hero to you.
I would immediately go to Jim Elliot, martyred missionary, Auca Indians, just his life story, Shadow of the Almighty, written by his wife, Elizabeth, was very foundational for me surrendering into full-time ministry. So still, go back and read that book over and over again. Yeah, his godliness and focus is incredible.
Yeah.
I think a couple people come to mind. I've been deeply impacted by the life and ministry of Jerry Falwell Sr. Through Liberty, I met my wife. My kids have gone there. So, that's one. And then I think my father-in-law has served faithfully as a worship pastor at the same church for 48 years. Just incredible humility and faithfulness in service to the Lord and through all kinds of difficulties and challenges. So, yeah.
Yeah, I had to ditto that on Jerry Falwell Sr. Certainly an impact when we arrived here, and his life, his commitment to purity as it was reflected, telling an auditorium full of students that, ladies, if you get stuck on the side of the road and it's
In the
pouring,
rain.
pouring down, he said it all the time.
Yep.
It pouring down rain, my wife's not with me, I'm gonna wave to you as I go by. And just that absolute commitment and giving everybody a heads up, this is going to be the way we're going to play this game. And though this sounds incredibly, it may sound self-serving or political at this point, Nathan Smith, just, going back to when he was an intern to sitting at the table as an intern, and the pastors, Jeff, you would remember, around the table we would say, he's mature way beyond his years, and at that point he's like 23. In 24 he's asked to become the pastor, and just watching how this young man who was so incredibly mature that I started saying he was mature beyond my years, just it's incredible to see what has happened and how God has worked through him in his life and how he's impacted all of us and been used here in ministry. It's incredible that at his age that he is so wise. You sit in a room with him, in a counseling situation or some difficult situation, and you watch how he just listens for a few minutes, and then he goes to the board and he diagrams it. He diagrams the scenario. This is what we're looking at, and just is gifted, just incredibly gifted.
Yeah, agree with that.
I think this is the hardest question because I fear leaving out somebody. That right now there are so many names going through my mind. My parents are first in my mind. As it pertains to ministry, since Alan's already said the political answer, I guess I can in some ways copycat. Kent, for me, was so influential as a youth leader, then a PA, to watch, as Kevin said, like an individual serve faithfully in a long period of time at one position. To see Kent do that here, and then the entrustment and the advice and counsel that he has given me over the years has been monumental, not only to my ministry but to my marriage and my parenting. And then I make fun of him a lot, but Jeff is also one of my ministry friends, my heroes that I look at, and just I'm very thankful. And again, I can go, boy, we wouldn't have long enough for me to go through all the list of people that have been so huge in my life. So many names, but those are probably the three that come to my mind first and foremost, that have been just I'm so thankful to have godly people in my life like that. Yeah.
I think that's that steadfastness of character and love of Christ. When I think of those in my life, I think of my dad and my mom as well. My parents have just been kind of that steadfast, loving couple who treasures Jesus, and so they have just been such a great encouragement to me. My pastor growing up, Dr. Mark Quartz, Calvary Baptist Church there in Winston. I remember growing up under him, and just, again, a steady love of Jesus and exposition of the Word, and a lot of that was foundational to my love of Scripture going into my teen years. And then working in Christian media, and even working at like an AM station where I'm playing, teachers and things like that. MacArthur was a huge one. Growing up under that as a young adult was very formative for me. And then I think of even like Piper, who at T4G, they're talking about his life and interviewing him about his life. And I'm just sitting here going, what a testimony of faithfulness. And And I would love to be able to get to the point where, you know, you just don't care, you know, like, I mean, in the positive sense, like Piper does. It's like, I don't care what you say. This is where I stand. You know, that kind of thing I just so appreciate and so grateful for. So very cool. All right, guys. Well, let's do one more, and then we're going to switch into our special Christmas questions. Since we are airing at Christmas time, I have some special Christmas questions for you guys. But first, here's our last of the deck. If you had to teach a class on one thing, what would you teach? If you had to teach a class on one thing, what would you teach? And maybe some of you are already doing that. I don't know.
Have to or get to?
If you had to teach a class. But I would say what would you passionately desire to teach a class on? Maybe that's a better way to put it. Like master class with Jeff. What would people tune in for that?
How not to swing a golf club.
It's all in a 3-minute class. You just watch Jeff hit a couple golf balls. Like, guess what?
Okay, that's it.
That's the class.
I got burned out from writing when I went through my doctoral program. But if I had the energy and the discipline again to ever write and teach, it would be a class on probably the Gospel of Mark. It has marked my life so much, and sequentially walking you through how Jesus trained the 12 who turned the world upside down. And so the life of Christ, walking through the Gospel of Mark, that'd be a lot of fun. As long as I didn't have to write.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had that conversation about writing before, and it's just a pain look on your face every time.
It is. It's agony.
Yeah.
I love to have written. Past tense.
What about you guys? Anything come to mind as far as what you'd love to teach?
Yeah, I would probably go to two things come top of mind. And the question, it points towards what has really made an impact in your life. Things that just really stand out. And I think there of Scripture, two areas or two lessons that have been burned in as a major part of who I am and had an impact on my life. One, Jeff will grin, will be regarding the will of God, the specific will of God in our life, how to know that. And I won't say any more there because I'll get drawn.
Yeah, we're going to run out of time there, Alan.
I will
if you
get
start.
drawn into explaining more and more. But on the will of God, is there a specific will of God for my life, and if so, can I know it? Second would be employer-employee relationships in Scripture. There's more spoken in the New Testament about that than there are husband-wife relationships. And it was just simply in my freshman year, sophomore year, homiletics class, do a 20-minute message. I did the proverbial flip through the Bible, wonder what's going to be interesting, got to do it 20 minutes. Came across this passage, and that looks like fun. And then later I continued to study and it's impacted my life and has my vocational pursuits and Robin and I both, how we do work has been significantly impacted by that.
Yeah. I think I would just kind of piggyback off of that because there's two things. One, kind of the scriptural class. 1 Peter would be probably one of the key. It's just been such an impactful book, and the employee stuff in there, along with just living in our fallen world. It's so helpful to understand how we respond, and even into the theology of suffering and how that is part of the Christian life. And so that would be something I would love to. I taught on it years ago and was just impacted by it. But I think even just for me on a practical level of engaging the church with media, because I've lived in both worlds, and teaching practices, not just of how to do it, but that riding that line between what does it mean to use media, but yet not be, to not worship the media itself, and like getting into entertainment inside the church rather than a means of worship and discipleship. And Kevin, I know you've probably deal with that even with the worship and stuff like that. There's that battle back and forth between expressions of art and worship, and how does that play?
Right.
So I think doing a class or something like that to kind of talk through those things, I think would be a lot of fun.
I think for me, it's I get the opportunity to do some teaching as an adjunct professor at Liberty, and so I've actually had the opportunity to teach and sort of design a class.
That's awesome.
During COVID, I was asked to lead a class basically for juniors and senior worship leaders, and it was called Worship, Leadership, Leadership, Philosophy, Music, and Resources, or something like that. And basically it was intended in the curriculum to be a guest lecture class. So I was just going to be facilitating guests coming in. But due to COVID, there were no guests. Or very few. So I had to build out the course as it was going. And it was a lot of fun to just pull out topics. My wife and I actually were able to teach together and talk about ministry and marriage. And so that was probably my favorite course to actually get to do, because I could just pull from different practical things in ministry to help equip kids that are planning to go into worship ministry. And so that was a lot of fun. But really, in general, anything that would allow me to equip people to do what I do, that's what I'd love to teach.
Yeah. Agreed.
I guess in my ministry context with teens, I've had a lot of opportunity to teach over the last handful of years on different books or different subjects, different topics found in Scripture. The one that has been most convicting to me and most helpful for me, and one that I actually enjoyed the most teaching, was last year. I taught through the book of Exodus with our teens, and really it was very encouraging for me personally to see the big meta-narrative and how Exodus fit into it of Scripture. And I think in conversation with the teens, it was very eye-opening to them that this wasn't just a collection of stories. This was far more than that. So I enjoyed that. That was my favorite book study that we've done with the teens, book of the Bible, with a class that I would really love to work on or teach with parents, the art of conversing with their teen. How to ask questions, how to not jump to assumptions, how to work with your kid, not against your kid. How to parent and discipline when it's time to, but also how to, in your discipline, converse with your kid. And by no means have I mastered, and this is where I feel kind of convicted, because it's like, who am I to sit there and tell a parent how to parent when I am also a parent who's fallible and doesn't always get it right. But now, as I've been in teen ministry long enough, I have seen parents who I think converse with their kids well, and the benefits and the fruitfulness of that, as opposed to parents who have no deep conversations with their kids at a young age, and then it plays out in very significant ways in teen years. So I would love at some point for parents, whether it's me or somebody, to just encourage, and here's how you can practically talk to your child as they go through just the very normal rhythms of life in a broken world. So that's kind of something that in my ministry area, a couple of things that stood out to me.
No, that's good. That's good. And I think that's such a valuable thing to learn. And, and that's where I think, we're trying to get to some of that with the Pathway of Family Discipleship as well. So if parents are looking for things of that nature, that can be a great resource in this. All right, guys. Well, thank you for dealing with these questions. Now it's time for our lightning round Christmas edition. I'm going to throw out a question, and then we're just going to go from my left around. So, Jeff, that means you get the last say, so you have the most time. But we're just going to do quick responses. Doesn't have to be anything long, though if you want to explain the why to your answer, that's perfectly fine. So the first one is, if money were no object, what gift would you like to give, and to whom would you give it?
I would give my wife a trip that she really wants to go to the UK, and we would go to the UK
Okay.
if money were no object.
Nice.
Wow. Yes, so it would again be a gift to Robin, a gift to my wife. And it would, I think she would love, we've been in the Holy Land together, but to go and do a trip to Israel where it is not as much visiting missionaries, but it's more of a time of reflection and worship and education.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's the big heart cry for Suzanne too. My wife would definitely love to go to Israel, and so that would be probably what I would do as well. So, yeah.
Well, since my wife and I get to go to Israel, my wife drives a 2004 Honda Accord that she loves, but I'd love to upgrade her car
Gotcha.
if she lets me.
If you
You can go to Aldi. I heard they have
They do.
Aldi
yeah.
Mobile.
My wife doesn't want a minivan.
I would have to say the trip as well. I would love to be able to go on a transatlantic cruise that goes over and visits like Ireland and Scotland, and I think Amy would absolutely love that. And she doesn't like to fly, so we'd be on a boat. So there you go. Next one: what gift would you like to receive if money were no option? Christmas is coming. Your wife, let's just say your wife just, earned an inheritance of some amount, and now you're going to get some gift from her. What would you tell her to buy you? I know that sounds very selfish, but it's just
whatever
it's a
would
fun.
make her happy.
Whatever you want, honey.
Is this airing before Christmas, so our wives will have the
This
opportunity?
that there
to
are
do
they've
that?
already purchased it. This is airing as Christmas has just happened, so you're good to go.
Boy, I hate going first to this.
All right, okay, fine. Jeff, you're first. We're going to switch it up. We'll go over the other way.
Well, seeing that my wife bought me a whole set of golf clubs last Christmas,
And it didn't help, so you went and bought another.
did not help.
Golf lesson.
Yeah.
As the guys around this table know, I love books. So an unlimited account for purchasing more books.
Wow. Where are you going to put all those books, Jeff?
Well,
in addition,
every
to the
one of you
office.
have wall space in your offices. So
Yeah. The church becomes Jeff's personal library. I love it. Okay. Kevin?
Well, I would say I would really love a vacation someplace really nice and warm and relaxing. That would be with my family.
Yeah.
That'd be an awesome gift. I would love that.
That would be great.
Yeah, very much the same line. A cruise.
Yeah.
A cruise, just warm waters. I have no desire to see an Alaskan cruise. It's like an oxymoron. But just a minimum of a week. 2 would be incredible.
Yeah.
Just it takes several days to unwind and get your head out of everything that you were in, and then you spend the last couple days getting it back in. So you want to get a day or two of vacation in a week a lot of times. So yeah, 2-week cruise would be incredible. Warm waters, no
Okay.
hurricanes.
Nice.
So I said UK trip for Ashley. I would also say UK trip for me in the sense that I really, 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 one of my big bucket list things to do is to go play golf in Scotland, Britain, Ireland. I mean, I just think those courses that you only get to see on TV. While Ashley's out visiting castles and seeing Downton
Doing something
Abbey
productive.
and all this stuff that she wants to do, I can go knock some balls around on the golf course. And
Nice.
yeah, I really would love to do that one day.
Well, you got in this scenario, you got enough money, so you could do 2 trips. That way, you don't have to abandon her to the castles.
That's right.
or just go play
Or
putt-putt with a castle in
Amy
it.
will be on your transatlantic cruise.
There
She
you
can
go.
Connect with Ashley. I'll take you to the golf course.
I don't like to golf, though. That's the problem. So I'm sorry. I mean, it would be humorous,
Okay,
but
you
it
be
would
the
be
caddy.
It would be completely wasted on me. I'll just say that. I'll be your caddy. Yeah, as long as you tip well. I think for me, I would like a Tesla. I need a new car. I would, don't need one, but I think eventually going to need a new one. And I'm just fascinated by the technology, and I think it'd be fun to have one. Though it probably costs more to charge it than it does to fill it at this point. But that's what it is. All right, next question. What is your favorite holiday treat? Maybe something you've, at the time of this airing, you are currently shoving into your mouth.
I mean, inevitably, it's candy for me at
What?
some point. Holiday treats. I don't know if this is a holiday treat, but my grandma used to make red velvet cake. I don't know if that's a Christmas cake. Or
It's
not.
red, so that
It's
works.
red, I
Yeah.
guess, but she used to make it every Christmas Eve, and that's my favorite cake, and she made it the best. So if I can get a good slice of red velvet cake around Christmas time,
You're good to go.
pretty happy fella. No coffee, but
No, well,
cake
that's the
is fine.
problem. We won't hold that against you.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, Robin makes a very good ice cream cake, a chocolate ice cream cake. That would be good, but because of being winter, maybe I would go to turtlettes. I just love the mix of the nuts and the chocolate and the caramel. I could do
good
that
stuff.
for a long time,
Yeah.
and unfortunately have.
Oh man, we've done beef tenderloin sometimes at Christmas, and that is fantastic.
That
One
is
of my favorites. Yeah,
yum. Man,
it's not a treat like as a sugary thing.
Yeah,
it's a
but it's-
savory treat.
it is a treat to
Yeah,
have, though.
it
That's for
is.
sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
My wife makes a sweet potato casserole that has probably more brown sugar, cinnamon, and nuts on it than anything. But it's a great vegetable.
If that's how you justify it, Jeff, that's fine. That's
I
fine.
do.
Okay.
It's very good.
Mine would be my mom's cream cheese bread. She makes this braided cream cheese bread that she's made, she makes it throughout the year, but a lot of times during the holidays. And I can eat an entire loaf myself. And so chances are I'm probably eating some right now as this is airing. So look forward to that. Finally, and we'll end on this one, do you have a favorite holiday memory that comes to mind?
Favorite holiday memory. I really loved when I was a little kid, and maybe it's just the nostalgia. Now as a parent, I realize how challenging this is to go to grandparents' houses. But we would stay Christmas Eve. We'd go and I have a very large Fox side of the family, and we'd have this big Christmas Eve party, and then we would stay overnight at my grandma's house, and then wake up Christmas morning, open presents at her house, which is about 3 hours from where we did live. And I loved my grandma. I mean, it was just, for me, those were some of the most sweet moments that I can remember, just being with family and being with her on Christmas Day. So, yeah, I now realize how challenging it is to travel with little kids and do all that. But certainly those are some of my fondest memories growing up at Christmas time.
It's good.
I guess this will probably end up calling Robin and my parenting skills into question. We have one, and our son Paul, Robin had told him when we were living in Pennsylvania that if he was bad during the year, he wasn't going to get anything but coal for Christmas. And he just summarily dismissed it. Like, right, what parent gives their kids coal for Christmas? Then there's us. And so Christmas morning, the routine is everybody opens one gift and it goes around. The next person opens one, and then we do another round. Every time Paul opened a box, no matter what size it was, it had a piece of coal in it.
Oh, that's so fantastic.
And he was just like, this isn't funny. So what, again? And it would go around and then around. And when we finished, it was like, okay, let's go ahead and pick everything up and clean up. And he's just sitting there with like, really? This is what you're going to do? And then we finally did bring out his gifts. But so it seems mean, but it was a lot of fun.
I would have loved to have seen the look on Paul's face just each time it went around.
How old was Paul?
At that time, he was probably 15, 16.
Okay. That's beautiful, Alan.
It was a special family memory. And Paul's expense, but he's a big boy.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of my favorites is the family all together going out day after Thanksgiving and cutting down a Christmas tree. You know, the search for the perfect tree, like the light that come down from heaven. Ooh, this is the tree, and
like,
the whole family agrees that yes, this is the tree, and it can take a little while.
Yeah.
We did that when we lived in Michigan, and they had the horses. They'd put the tree on the wagon and haul it up to your car for you. And there's petting zoo and hot chocolate, and there might even be snow coming down. Day after Thanksgiving. It was just a very Christmas card-esque kind of thing. Just so that was always, those were always fun when we could do that. And then I remember when we moved to Georgia, we were going to go out and do that, and realized they don't have the same kind of trees to cut down. So it wasn't
they
quite.
throw it in the back of a pickup, and then they,
Yeah, day after Thanksgiving, we show up at the place, and a person was like surprised that we were there to cut a tree down. Nobody's there. There's no petting zoo. It's it was like, what are you doing here?
Definitely no snow.
Definitely no snow. It's like 75 degrees. But but those were fun times.
Nice.
Well, before I came on staff here, I worked retail sales. So Christmas never came on the radar until we closed the store at 6 o'clock on Christmas Eve, and then I would hurry over here to church for our Christmas candlelight communion service. And so that really became my Christmas holiday of unplugging from the hectic, crude retail season, and gave us an opportunity to be here, refocus, worship, take communion, and then we would head over to Steve and Kim Griffin's house, and our families would celebrate Christmas Eve together with a big meal, exchanging of gifts between our families, and that led us into Christmas morning to sitting down reading the Christmas story. So Christmas is it's a huge holiday for me, having come out of retail.
Yeah.
It means much more to me not being in retail.
Oh, I bet.
So,
Can imagine.
So the whole thing about Christmas Eve all the way through Christmas Day is very special.
Yeah.
Good memories.
Yeah, our family, we do Christmas, the big Christmas thing on Christmas Eve. That's kind of our tradition, and we always connect fondue with it. So we have fondue, and one of the reasons that's torture for a child is that it takes forever to eat. And so we're waiting to get to our presents, and we're all still sitting around the table cooking our meat in the pots. So that was always a lot of fun growing up. But I do, one of my key memories is actually similar to what you were just talking about, Nathan, was my grandmother's house in Ohio. It was one of those places, it smelled like grandma's house. It just had that essence to it. And we would get up in the morning, and I remember running downstairs to her little basement area, surrounded by organs, and because she played the organ, and then not the fleshly organs, but actually musical organs. And so
Glad you specified
that would be really weird. And opening up a Super Nintendo. And I was just on cloud 9 because now I could play Donkey Kong Country, and that was
Mine was a Nintendo 64.
Was it? So that one has always kind of resonated in my mind because it happened at her house, and it was like this for me. It was a big deal, and so it's just such a great memory, and I'm sure there's many more like that I could talk about. But yesterday, at the time of this airing, obviously, but Joshua shared in Staff Devos just recounting the goodness of God and just the things around us. And I think as I hear the memories, as I consider these things, is it not a good God who would provide such sweet moments in a broken world for us to enjoy? And so it really is a means of worship in that we are remembering and thanking Him for providing these good things. And so hopefully as people are hearing this, that they've had a good holiday season and been able to experience these things. And even if there is difficulty in the holidays for those who may be listening, know that the goodness of God is yours in Christ. And what a great thing we have to rejoice in, that our God is living He is active, and he loves us so much. Guys, thank you so much for being part of our fun discussion today. Maybe we can have it again next year. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Next
With
Christmas.
coffee.
With coffee, yeah. Nathan doesn't get to come back because he didn't bring coffee, though. Well, I know Rob wanted to be in here, so
There you
I'm
go.
sorry. We'll replace you.
Rob doesn't like coffee either.
That's true. Well, maybe you guys have your own show. Well, you can do tea and conversation, which just doesn't make any sense. Well, this has been another episode of the Alongside Podcast. For more details on Alongside, including show notes, past episodes, and more, you can visit alongsidepodcast.com. Also, wherever you may be listening to this, make sure you leave a 5-star review just telling them how you were impacted specifically by this show, because I know it was just a lot of fun. Or if you've just been encouraged in your faith throughout the airing of these, let people know. I'm your host, Mike Crump. Thanks for listening. We hope you'll join us next time as we continue to come alongside other followers of Christ in order to have thoughtful conversations about the gospel, culture, and the church.